Welcome to the Coach's Edge podcast. I'm your host, Steve Kramer of Kramer Basketball. And today I wanted to share with you a few things to help you make more shots this summer. If you're a coach, you have players to help your players make more shots. If you're a parent watching or listening and you want your son or daughter to make more shots this upcoming season, I know that we can help. We're going to break down a few key areas, and I'm also going to show you, kind of walk you through how we do that with our shooting guide and then some of the other things that we utilize to help players be more successful as they get into basketball season. We spent all this time in the off season working on our game, technique, the reps, and then once we get into the season, some of those things can start to slip. We can lose some of the confidence, the rhythm, the repetition and practice time focused on shooting because there's so many other aspects of the game, not just for players, but for coaches having that as a point of emphasis as well. And bottom line is we need to score one more point than the other team to win that game. And that could be a free throw, that could be a finish, that could be an open jump shot. And when it comes to being successful consistently as a player and as a program, one of the easiest ways to do that is, we consistently have players that are even above average compared to our competition. All right. And if your fifth best player is generally a better shooter than the other team's fifth best player. If your third best player is generally a better shooter than the other team's third best player, all of these add up, right? You may not always have the number one, right? The top shooter on the court at all times, right? But generally speaking, if your six man coming off the bench is generally a better shooter than the other six man, this is going to add up to more wins throughout the course of a season, which is why we've created a shooting guide. And I want you to think about our four core areas of shooting that I teach at our shooting camps. And I want you to think about how you can start to integrate these. And when I'm talking about shooting, I'm not talking about scoring, finishing at the basket. I'm talking about more or less of those mid-range to three-point type shots and what those look like, how we can practice them. So first and foremost, what's the foundation that we have, right? With our shooting guide, we have this digital product essentially that has hours of video resources and breakdowns of uh, taking a deep dive into shooting form, stationary catch and shoots, shooting on the move, that's cutting, that's shuffle, relocation, backpedal, transition, and then shooting off of the dribble, which could also be off the dribble in transition, shot fake, rips, one dribble, two dribble pull-ups, and also the form, the technical aspect of these areas and some of the things that we can think about with hands, feet, and body position. And we break those down throughout the course of our shooting guide and, of course, inside the Coach's Edge membership as well. We take deep dives into certain presentations as far as bouncing back from shooting slumps, making the main things, right? And then for our advanced players, our really good shooters at the high school level and our college players, we have some drills that we encourage our players to do, not every day, um, but on a somewhat consistent basis throughout the course of the season so they can continue to track some of their growth, their improvement. And, anything we're going variable practice, we're going time, we're going score, those are going to be good signals for us as far as are we continuing to improve? Are we falling off? Are we staying the same throughout the course of what is a really long season? And I can tell you firsthand as I think back on my playing career, taking a little deeper dive into shooting like this document has would have really, really helped me as a player because I was very cognizant of it. I was thinking of it a lot. I was trying to break things down mentally in my head, going right, going left, movement, stationary, different situations, reading the defense, taking those shots so that in the game, there really wasn't a lot of decisions to make because I'd spent so much time thinking about that from a practice standpoint and just it could be on the bus heading into a game and just playing that mental game in my head of what are the situations that I'm going to be in. And so a document like this, I'm on video walking you through, breaking you down breaking down certain situations that a player is going to be in, super helpful because then that player can not only hear it, but they can see it, right, with me. And then that's going to make it even easier for them to visualize themselves being in that situation. So, as a coach, what are the main shots that you're taking throughout the course of a game and throughout the course of the season? Does this look like pretty similar from player to player? What are some of those differences going to be from specific players, right? Whether they're point guard, more wings, players that are generally more inside. You have to be able to differentiate those things. But regardless, the shooting form that we use is huge. And we've taken more of a deep dive into some of our shooting mechanics. And one of the things that I've really been trying to emphasize is getting our body loaded underneath the basketball. So we've been doing more ball raise drills. We've been doing more drills that emphasize arc and lift on the basketball with that incorporate. So let's say I'm stationary at the free throw line, right? And we have so many more players that we work with that have a flat shot compared to too flat compared to too much arc, right? And so one, I'm thinking we need to get a little more under the ball instead of pushing it, simply pushing it out. That ball is going to be flat. Let's get underneath, let's get our body underneath that basketball a little bit more. That's not just power, but that's going to give us some more lift on that shot. And I mean, for every one player I see that I'm like, man, they could tone it down a little bit. That's like a moon ball going way up into the air. I'll see, you know, 10 or more players that I'm like, wow, that ball is really flat and they might have some good things going, but it's just like a bullet going to the rim and it needs to have more softness to that shot, right? And so we break that down in a lot of our form shooting drills. It could be simple ball raise and making sure we're raising that basketball to get underneath it with our palm. It could be as simple as doing some self shots where I'm exaggerating shooting the basketball super high straight up in the air and then catching it. It could be doing some backboard shooting where my target is higher than 10 feet. And I found this very beneficial for players of all ages. But the cool thing is noticing it with younger players like fifth, sixth, seventh graders who, power may be an issue. And so to get them to work under the basketball and seeing how much power they can have from the arc and lift standpoint of doing some drills where it's not about making a shot. It's simply about getting the basketball up a little bit higher. So that could be against the backboard, that could be against a brick wall in the gym of having a higher touch point of emphasis and getting that basketball to go up, soft touch, hit a certain spot, and then come right back down to you. So when it comes to our form, we want to think about what we want to do and some things that we don't want to do, right? And all these videos are broken down, right, into presentation, short video, some are long video, where I'm on the screen and I'm breaking down specific aspects of the game. Some of these videos are as short as 90 seconds. Some of these videos are closer to, 20-minute presentations, walking you through PowerPoint, you name it, as far as how we can become better shooters. So, like one of our videos that's playing right now, if you're watching on video, talks about some of the mistakes that players make when they shoot the basketball and how we can start to correct some of those different skills. But all hyperlinks, all unlisted videos that you're not going to find on our YouTube channel that take a much deeper dive into shooting the basketball at a higher level. Break it down, common shooting keys. Like if you're a good offensive team, you're going to be in situations where you're creating inside out stationary catch and shoot shots. All right. And so how can we create consistency with that? And how can we think about a few simple things that are going to help us keep that basketball straight, right? And keep that basketball going up. Any shot, it needs to go up, it needs to go out, it needs to go straight, right? So there needs to be, from a body standpoint, let's say it's around my waist, my midsection. I bring the basketball up first, right? So it goes up. Then where it needs to go, it needs to go out, and it needs to go out straight, right? Straight, straight, straight. Most important part of shooting is ball goes straight. So Uh, as we take that shot, what are some things that we can do with our hands, our feet, and our body position to make sure that we're keeping the basketball straight, we're generating power correctly, right? And so if we can think of our three upper levers, which is shoulder, elbow, wrist, and loading those when the basketball is down into our pocket area. And then as we lift the basketball up, not trying to change those angles so much as just bring the basketball up with our shoulder to the point where we're getting under the ball. And now, so that's been our lift, right? Now we're getting to our set point, which would be more so palm to ceiling. Um, yeah, and we're being general here, but that would be more your palm to ceiling position. And we want to transition that ball from up to out. So is it going to change direction? 100% it's going to change direction. Is it going to come back a little bit? Possibly, but we don't want it to come too far back because then it's going to turn into more of a slingshot type motion. And we certainly don't want to bring the basketball up and then drop it down a few more inches and then push it up again. We see that a lot um, with different players, especially kind of that middle school area where they'll lose that momentum because they bring the basketball from pocket to set point and then set point and they'll lower the ball and then they'll push it. And that's a lot of arms that they're incorporating in that shot. So if we're going to get lower, I don't want you to lift the basketball and then drop it down again and then back up and out again. What I want you to do, if you're going anything with lower, let's take our lower half and just get lower, hips, knees, ankles, sink them, right? And so instead of me dropping the basketball using my upper body, I can just get lower by using my lower half, and then I can use that lower half to generate power through. And that's going to be easier because we're going to be able to do that. And we're also going to incorporate speed with the basketball that continues to move the ball up and out instead of players that are using the upper body to gain some of that extra power. The ball will go up, it'll come back down, and then it'll go back up again, or it'll go up and then it'll move it back behind their head and then they'll slingshot it. So the basketball is not moving anymore in the directions that we want it to go to, right? So we break these down in our shooting guide, in our video breakdowns to help serve players and coaches in the coach's edge on how they can teach shooting at a higher level. And that's one thing that I've really been trying to think about this fall is not the drills so much as how do I do a better job explaining shooting and making it simple for all the players that we see and all the coaches that we work with who all want to knock down more shots. Shooting has never been more valuable than it is in today's game due to all the spacing and some of the defensive rules. So we have to be able to knock down shots. And so taking a deep dive into those stationary catch and shoots, especially, is big. And then from there, how do we advance it? Okay, well, we got to move without the basketball as well. So what's the footwork that it looks like on a back pedal? What's a footwork that it looks like when we're moving laterally? What does it look like when we're moving forward down the court? What about the angles, right? So if we're going high to low, if we're going low to high, right? We're working at an angle that's, not running in a direction to the rim and not in a position where my hips are already facing the rim. And so how do we learn to turn and square up? And so if you're a coach, have you thought about any of those differences? Like think about a stationary catch and shoot, a relocation right, a relocation left, a back pedal, a transition coming forward, a low to high cut, a high to low cut. And then you also got your different directions based on what side of the court that you're on. These are a lot of different scenarios that come to moving without the basketball and taking a shot. Have we thought about these? What players on your team are effective in certain situations, not so effective in others? Is it a right-handed player? So generally putting them on the right side of the court, having them lift up, moving left. A lot of players like that because their right shoulder's closer to the rim. Whereas if they're on the left side of the court and they're doing a low to high cut, their left shoulder's closer to the rim. And so then they need to turn a little bit more to get that right side to the rim so that there's a little more of the turn with the body position to get squared up to the hoop. Whereas if we're really talking a little bit deeper detail, like I could face as a right hand player, and if I was standing at the free throw line, I could completely face the left sideline with both feet, but my right shoulder would be still facing the rim, so I could just shoot, and I make a lot of shots that way, right? But if as a right-handed player, I'm facing the right side of the court, right sideline, with both my feet standing at the foul line, well, my left shoulder is facing the front of the rim. So I'd have to twist my upper body, right, to be able to get that ball back to the rim. That, in a nutshell, right, breaks down a lot of our movement when we're taking angles where our hips aren't already loaded to the rim. And how are we able to create an offensive system that creates some of those shots that we want that are easier for our players, right? And then from a coaching standpoint, of course, there's going to be times where players are going low to high cut, left to right. And so are we able to teach them, right, a hop 1-2, right, which is a hybrid of a 1-2 step and a hop. That's it. It's in this breaking it down of how they could start to be able to efficiently get their feet set and getting up into a shot, right? And so what I here's what I'm trying to say, guys, girls, coaches, ladies and gentlemen. I've put my, you know, blood, sweat, and tears into thinking about how we can teach shooting better. It's one of my favorite things to teach. Yeah, we teach everything, right? I love it. Love basketball, man. It's a great sport. Uh, but I really love teaching shooting. And we've done so much of the work for you. So whether you want to get the Coach's Edge membership and access our shooting guide, volume one, whether you want to, you're a player or a parent listening, you want to get a shot consult program for your son or daughter this season. That's where I'm even breaking down game film for them, having Zoom calls, breaking down, reviewing the game film, every shot that they take, some that they don't, some that we should have taken, some that we should have passed up, breaking down overall situations of the game, breaking down the mentorship aspect of like keeping our confidence throughout the course of a long season. Understanding that a lot of times what we think is a shooting slump actually isn't. It's just not enough volume for us to be able to learn how we're actually shooting the ball. So that is a mental aspect, so mental when it comes to shooting the basketball, not just the technique. And we talk about that inside our shooting guide, inside our Coach's Edge membership with some of these shooting videos. We've done so much of the work that, you know, and maybe it's simple like, hey, I just want to get this shooting guide, volume one. I'll put the link in the description below. You can get your hands on that. You get permanent access to it, no long-term commitment. There's no other fees. Just you buy it once, you have it, right? Um, for our more advanced players, our high school, college players, like we've put together some awesome, what I call super shooter drills. We have 11 of them in here and just breaking down, right? We got one of my college players and myself, a couple college players and myself demonstrating all of these drills, very high level, and breaking down some of the rules and time and score and how some of these drills work. I mean, it's our guy Mason. He plays at University of Findlay. They're one of the top teams in the nation for Division II last year. He's going to have a great year. So as you think about players, what are some of the things that we can do to help them play at a higher level? We have in-season shooting workouts, different drills, things that they can track. And you know, one of the things that we think about when it comes to shooting is trying to make things as simple as possible. So, what's it done for you preseason, in-season shooting workout look like for you? Here's what it could look like. It could look like making 50 form shots, going through our 4 phases of form shooting. And then each corner, each wing, top, stationary, catch and shoot. All right, making 10. All right. Corner to wing, slot to slot, corner to wing, 10 makes. Right. So now we're moving from side to side, 10 makes at each. That's another 30 makes. Right. Right and left pull up, attacking the elbows, 10 makes right, 10 makes left. Changing up your location, but attacking the elbows and knocking down free throws. That'd be a super little more block focused, like feel confidence, high repetition, seeing that basketball go through the hoop with a big focus on footwork and technique. All right, would be a good one. And those are great for building confidence and also getting a focus on cleaning up some footwork and some of the technical aspects of hand position, body position, hips back, three lower levers, hips, knees, ankles. When you push into that one dribble pull up, are you already low enough that you can spring up into that shot? A lot of players like to stand up and then they pick up the ball and then they have to drop back down and then they go up in their shot. And now you're slow. Now it's a slow pull up, right? And you've lost some of that speed and rhythm that you want when you're shooting a pull up jump shot. So there's some sample workouts that we give in players in there as well. And one of the most important things that we have in our shooting guide is asking players to evaluate themselves, right? And so let's go through a couple of those questions that shooters can ask themselves. And what's your biggest strength as a shooter? What's your biggest strength as a shooter? The best players that I've been around take notes. The best players that I've been around take notes. They evaluate themselves, right? So as players, we need to be able to do that if we're serious about making more shots. So this is something to get the ball rolling for them, right? As far as asking them some, self-reflection type questions. What are your biggest strengths? What are your biggest weaknesses as a shooter? Do you have a routine? If so, what does it look like? What do you need to add? What do you need to change? Let's think about pressure situations. How consistent are you throughout the course of a game, right? Beginning of the season, end of the season, do you kind of fall off, right? Practice shooting versus game shooting, right? And I'm not talking a basic drill. I'm talking about when you're scrimmaging and practice shooting versus when you're in a game shooting. Is there a difference there? And maybe there's some things that we can talk about to help you get through some possible mental hurdles. What drills help you the most when it comes to you knocking down more shots when it matters in those games? What do those shooting drills look like? That's going to differ. For some players, it's going to be your form shooting because there needs to be more more of a comfort level built in with some changes that you probably need to make, right? For some players, you're going to get a lot of corner threes because that's some of your role, right? And so to be in a just hammer out, hey, I'm shooting a ton of corner threes this year. I'm going to work on a ton of corner threes right now. And maybe it's going more game speed, right? More intensity, right? More endurance aspect to the game. You play a lot of minutes, you're playing defense and pressing at a high level. And so to run through your shooting workouts when you're tired, and that could be 15 minutes of going hard after you finished practice, right? All the workouts that we've created inside our shooting program for in season, and I'll put one of the links in there that you guys can get access to in the Kramer Basketball app. Those are designed to be pretty short workouts, all right, but they can still be intense, okay? And so there's just a bunch of questions that we can ask ourselves. Most importantly, we can put as important as shooting is, as players, we never want to judge ourselves based on how we shot, right? And so if you never made a shot in the game, how would you still be able to make a positive impact, right? And I remember my first game, my junior year of college, and I went and I shot 4 for 10, and I think I had 10 points. I had like 5 rebounds, 5 assists, a couple steals, block, all around game. Solid defense. Now, I'd had games where I'd scored, the year before, 25, 27, like games where I was scored way more points than 10 points, right? And after the game, one of our assistant coaches at Hope said, Steve, that's the best game you've ever played. I was like, what? Best game I ever played? I made 4 out of 10, and I thought I should have made probably 6 out of 10. I thought there were a couple easy ones that I didn't make. And I was like, wow. But why? Energy, defense, rebounding, right? Leadership, making smart plays. Didn't force anything. Right? Those are all ways that I was able to positively impact that game, which we played a really high level team and we won. And I'll always remember that. I mean, that was a long time ago that Coach Dav, said that to me, and I'll never forget it. Um, because as excited as I was, and I knew I did a good job, as a person who likes to score, I was still thinking about my shot. He's like, man, that was the best game you ever played. I was like, wow, that meant so much to me. And so for us to be able to understand that, yes, we can always become better as shooters, but we should be positively impacting the game regardless of how well we shoot the basketball. is going to be huge for us. So my final thoughts with this episode are as we shoot the basketball throughout the course of the season, as we teach shooting the basketball throughout the course of the season, what can we do better? Do you need help? Make the investment, and it could be 24.99 permanent access to our shooting guide volume one. It could be getting the Coach's Edge membership and being in the membership as long as you like. You can cancel anytime. Or one in between. Maybe it's our in-season shooting app for players. I don't know what that looks like for you. But what I can say is we've put a lot of work into helping players make more shots during the season. And I think that there's so much talk about what does the offseason look like, and that's where you get better. No question. But if a player gets into the season and they start to struggle, how can we pull them back so that they can take ownership of some of that success that they've worked so hard and that they deserve because they put the time in the offseason? That's where I think our programs have come in and really filled a need and a void in kind of the coaching shooting space, in my opinion, right? And if you want to take it even deeper dive, jump into our shot consult program. We'll take about 10 players this year. I think we have three locked in, four locked in so far. So we'll take a few more. And that's always fun, something that I love to do as we get into basketball season, which is going to start for a lot of our members late November, even some beginning of December will be the first games of the season. Some of you guys have started already, which is crazy. But if you have any questions, contact at kramerbasketball.com. Go to coachesedge.coach, jump into your membership. It's an investment. You can spend or you can invest. That's the way I look at Coach's Edge. I bought a workout program. Was it last week, 2 weeks ago? Can't remember. All right. And it's not that I don't know how to do those exercises that are in this workout program, right? But I bought the workout program because it was going to make it easier for me to do the work for a couple reasons. One, they're great workouts and they're designed better than I could make them. They're done by a professional, right? Shout out to Corey G. So the workouts are done better than I could make them, even though I generally know all the exercises already. And I guess you could say I could make up those workouts. He knows a lot more than me. So the way he's programmed it is better than I could program it. So you got that. Two, I still think there's something to be said for when you pay for something, right? Even if it's not much, when you pay for something, you feel a little bit more invested in getting the benefits out of it, right? And so for me, since I bought that membership, I've been lifting. I already feel it after like a little over a week of like my muscles are feeling a little tighter, a little better, a little like I feel just like overall healthier. And I wish I could say it wasn't, but it was because I bought this dang workout program. And now my body feels better. My energy feels better. Was it worth it? Absolutely. I pay twice the amount, right, for how I feel right now. But you can still have to take that step and make the investment, and it'll come back to you in different ways. And I think the Coach's Edge membership and our shooting programs are the same way. So happy to answer any questions and talk deep dives into shooting. We've done so much on shooting in the past with the podcast. I debate a little bit of how much I want to jump back into it, but I'm super passionate about it. So if you're interested in talking more on the Coach's Edge podcast or me talking more, interviewing other people on shooting the basketball, please reach out and let me know. So we've talked about defense a little bit more lately, but they have a lot going on, a lot of exciting news with Kramer Basketball, Coach's Edge that I'm excited to share. So thank you for listening to the pod. Anything I can do, let me know. Contact at kramerbasketball.com. Get after it today.